Because praying people is always looking for a move of God. Listen to me. When you begin to pray and you begin to seek God and search God and you begin to pray, you get up thinking about it. You drive to work. Tanner told me the other day, he said, Daddy, he said, God is talking to me more than he's ever talked before. He said, I'm driving down the road and God's telling me stuff and I'm talking back to him. See, because when you spend time and you begin to pray, you start searching and you start seeking another move, another place, another time. And before you know it, your old lifestyle just begins to kind of dwindle off. And your friends always want to entice you, doesn't come around. And you spend more time with a bunch of life changers than Lee Pearson. And before you know it, prayer begins to change. One of the greatest revivals of American history is recorded. No other revival has ever stood up to this kind of revival. And it was in April of 1857. It went from 1857 to 1860. And it started in a place called New York City, where a man began to come in. They called a man in and said, you need to come and take this church. It's fallen off. Nobody wants to come to church anymore. We can't get nobody here. We dwindled down to about 7 people. We need you to come. He showed up, and when he got there, the first thing he called was a prayer meeting. As he called a prayer meeting, 7 or 8 men showed up, and before long it dwindled down to 2 or 3 men. And he began to pray. And God said, I want you to take it to the inner city. I want you to go and I want you to pray for revival. This man goes into the inner city and he rents a building. He gets into the building and 7 men show up the first day. And then a month long they continued. Within a month they had 100 men. Within 2 months they had over 100,000 men that would show up, men and women, and they began to pray for a shaking and awakening of revival. Listen, there wasn't a preacher scheduled to preach. There wasn't a song leader scheduled to sing. They showed up and started praying. Because of their prayers, men and women would be on their way to the prayer meeting and begin to cry uncontrollably and give their life to God. That sick people would come that couldn't see, but before they would get there and on their way, they were screaming and wailing outside, oh, Myrtle got healed. She can see. Oh, Uncle Fred, he's healed. He's running around. And people was healed. They could see. They was delivered. And it all started with a prayer meeting because people wanted to see revival. Revival began to break out from 1857, I believe, to 1860. So you got about 3 years, listen to me, you got about 3 years of revival just spontaneously breaking out, but something crazy happened. Now listen, today, we could start a revival today, right now. I could start a revival right now. I could take my little smartphone right here, and it would take me about 35 seconds if I spell it right. And I could hit post and boom, and I could go all over the world and just boom. I mean, literally 30 seconds, bam. I am all over the world. Anybody who's connected and the places I can't get to, you can see it and share it. And the people I don't know, you begin to share. They see things that I said that they don't know me, but they see it. It all becomes a share thing. Next thing you know, we have engulfed and taken over the world in 35, 40 seconds. in 1857, there was none of that going on. Only the power of God to move a nation and to shake a nation, that there would be a course of events that was going to happen, that God said only revival will get you through this. I need to tell somebody something right now, that there is an enemy and there is an antichrist, and he is not somebody that's going to be born. I believe he's living and he's breathing now, and he is coming after God's children. And I believe that the only way to stand against this kind of evil thing is there would be a revival and a turning course of a nation that brought in an anointing that would bring back a revival, that people could see that God is real. Revival. They said that an amazing thing happened, that ships was coming in. And I wrote this down. I'm kind of a little bit lost on my history here, but ships come in from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, Europe, South Africa, India, Australia, and the Pacific Islands. The ships was rolling in from all over, and they was coming because they had heard of a revival. And when they got to the building, tens and thousands of people was on their knees calling out and praying. It was a revival that had changed the course of America. There was some things that was about to take place that God said, I need to get you so in tune and informed with me that what I'm about to do, there's going to be a war break out. It wasn't until 1861 that the Civil War broke out, but God said, I need to prepare my people, for the enemy is coming in and he's going to try to divide you. Oh, but if I can get me inside of you, the greatest nation of America, it will stand and not fall. The Bible says a house divided against itself will not stand, and America was divided, and the enemy wanted it killed and brought out, but God brought in a revival. He didn't use a preacher, he used prayer.